96, a municipal broker dealer may not participate in underwriting with the issuer for 2 years after political contributions were made to the officials of the issuer. To any of these, well, to answer that, we got to know what any of these are. A municipal securities trader, yes. Municipal securities firm, yes. Municipal securities salesperson, A. Any of these, indeed. Outside business activities, question 97. Which of the following activities undertaken by an associated person requires written notification to an appropriate firm principal? Buying a customer dinner and drinks at an expensive restaurant. Volunteering, keyword, volunteering. Buying shares of your member firm. Taking a part-time job parking cars at the racetrack. Yeah, D. The key point is that's pay, right? And that's pay. Question 98, under Federal Rule 2210, which of the following is classified as a retail communication that's 24, more than 25 in a 30-day period to retail and, prospects and clients, without listing a specific numerical requirement? Oh, yeah, okay, so I think this one's kind of tough. I mean, we know the telephone calls, research report, market letters. What we don't know is who's going to listen to the radio commercial. So I think that's kind of odd. But right, the radio commercial is I use the Sesame Street question trick on these questions. Sesame Street trick. One of these things is not like the other. This one's kind of silly. 99, broker dealers are required to have written procedures to prevent the misuse of material non-public information. The WSPs apply to the firm, not to suppliers, not to disinterested parties. So it's 1 and 2. I think we had this one before. Blue Sky, right? That's state securities registration. All the following except. So yeah, Blue Sky would be registering with the state through coordination or through qualification, or maybe it's a federally covered security, but Blue Sky are state laws. "101, Jack Williams turned 19, decided to enlist in the Marine Corps. Thank you, Bill James. I was in the Marine Corps, Semper Fi. Every once in a while, I sprinkle some Marine questions into these Q banks for yours truly and postpone going to college. Well, you're talking to a Marine, so I don't actually think that's a bad idea. You might, Jack might learn some dedication, some discipline, some organizational skills. If Jack decides to remain in the armed forces, I'm going to have to tell Mr. James, not the armed forces, the Marine Corps, and not pursue additional education in the classroom, the unused funds contributed to his Coverdale ESA can be transferred to his 24-year-old cousin or 25-year-old cousin, Mary. "102, a new customer of the branch has minimal experience at investing. He asks a representative about advantages and disadvantages of margin accounts. All the following are advantages except less cash, they need to purchase securities. Yep. The money is borrowed. Well, who knows? Leveraging is possible. No. You're making money twice fast. You're going to lose money twice as fast. That's a totally inappropriate thing. Your losses are going to be maximized, not minimized. Question 103. No broker, dealer, or an associated person may share directly or indirectly in the profits or losses of account of a customer carried or introduced by the firm. Which of the long statement concerning sharing is true? Remember, it's only for the agent of the broker dealer, and it has to be based on proportionate capital. So an associate person, broker dealer may participate in private capacity in an investment partnership or joint account, provided the participation is in direct proportion to the financial contribution made by the AP. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's see what our other ones say. An associate person may participate in private capacity, an investment partnership or joint account, provided the participation is solely in direct proportion to, oh, look at that. Good thing I didn't catch. I'm getting tired. So that's the challenge, right? A says financial and intellectual contribution. So B sounds even better, right? That's why, by the way, I always say RTFQ, read the full question, but also read the full answer set. Make sure you see what else is available. I just thought that was it, and I didn't read the rest of the question, right? So don't want to be giving up questions that way. C, an associated person may participate in private capacity, provided the participation is indirect. No. D, an associate person may in private capacity is disclosed. No, it's B. (104) The Insider Trading and Securities Fraud Enforcement Act of '88 specifies which of the following: member firms establish WSPs, written supervisory procedures. Indeed. A misstatement by a corporate insider could result in liability under law. That's true. The member firm must respond to blue sheet investigations. Blue sheets are, how they investigate these things, those trades. A timely matter, yes. 4, a lawsuit may be issued up to 5 years after the violation. That too is true. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4B. 105, an offer to a customer by a municipal dealer for a security must be based on, we're allowed to use our judgment, our best judgment, right? The MSRB doesn't have like a 5% bonus. They just say whatever it is should be fair and reasonable. Fair and reasonable. 106, you are advised by the office cashier that one of your brokers has deposited 5,000 personal check into an account of an unrelated customer. Ooh. In reviewing the account, the week earlier, the customer, an aggressive high-risk investor, purchased his shares in an OTC stock that subsequently lost 30% of its value. So it looks like my rep may be trying to hold the customer harmless, which is a big no-no. As branch manager, you would be concerned with which of these? Account sharing with client? Absolutely. Guaranteeing the customer client against a loss? Absolutely. Suitability of the bulletin board trade? I'm just checking my answer set because I know that I'm going to be concerned about 4. And I don't have an answer that will let me take 4 without dropping 3 out of there. So I'm going to go for 1, 2, and 4, right? The suitability should have been done on the front end. So this isn't a question about suitability. There's nothing in this question about the context of suitability. For all we know, it could have been a suitable trade. 107, all these statements regarding a closed-end company are true, except, they don't redeem their shares, right? They trade supply and demand in the secondary market. If a public offering of MNOX common stock is to be immediately listed and traded on one or more securities exchanges, the maximum number of stabilizing bids that may be offered, remember, it's only 1, and it has to be at or below the public offering price. So it's 1. 109, a representative thinks a technology stock is undervalued, actively solicits all his customers, which the following is true. Sounds like a blanket recommendation, right? And that's a big no-no because every situation could be unique. He did not commit a violation. I think he did. That has nothing to do with his firm, so B is kind of nonsensical. Yeah, he committed the unethical business practice of a blanket recommendation, C. 110, an order ticket for an agency transaction for Cape May, New Jersey, GO bond must include all the following. It doesn't include the time or the order entry. 111, a customer deposit fully paid listed securities into a margin account. The SMA will increase by 50% of the market value. I had somebody struggling the other day, and if you get stuck, you need to kind of set up the account. Don't try and do it in your head. So 112, which of the following private placement rule 506C? So remember, 506C means we only can have accredited investors and institutional investors, but we can make a solicitation, right? So which is from announcement of an investment seminar, target mailed to a group of accredited investors. Yeah, that's acceptable, right? Because again, that's the difference between 506C and 506B. 506B, you can have up to 35 non-accredited investors, but you can't make a general solicitation. $113, on March 15th, a registered rep sells 1,000 shares of M&O for a customer at 30 per share, with instructions to send the proceeds once the trade is cleared. On March 16th, the board of directors for M&O declares a 3-for-2 split payable April 10th to shareholders as of record March 29th. The customer receives a check for $20,000 and complains about the short sale or shortfall. In reviewing the customer's claim, you most likely have the finding that, yeah, that he has a legitimate complaint, right? Because he should have received $30,000. So yeah, a legitimate complaint, right? $114, which of these pooled investment vehicles would not generally be considered an alternative investment? So one of these is a plain vanilla product and the others are not plain vanilla and have heightened suitability. So the plain vanilla thing here is the ETF tracking an index. That's pretty plain vanilla kind of a product. These others are structured products, exchange traded notes, leveraged ETF, inverse ETFs. Ooh, those are probably not suitable for Joe Sixpacks. 115, it was brought to the attention of a branch manager through an exception report that within the past month, several customers rolled over an employee-sponsored retirement plan to an IRA that earned their representative commissions. Upon further inquiry, the branch office manager learned that the customer's representatives recommended rollovers. Which of the following supervisory concerns is most pertinent? Further exceptions report generated a customer ad signal, inherent conflict of interest and impairment of judgment, right? There's a conflict there, suitability perhaps. A registered rep is meeting with a long-time client for an annual review of the client's portfolio. The client is retired with a sizable estate, and with the help of her tax advisor, has decided to establish a 529 college savings plan for the grandchild. The client has invested $100,000 previously in the LMO mutual fund family. Which of the following statements by the representatives would be correct? The credentials of a tax advisor must be disclosed on the hold harmless agreement. I've never even heard of such a thing. You cannot aggregate your existing investment and the 529 to reach a breakpoint. That is not true. When you invest larger sums in the same Class A mutual fund family, you may reach a breakpoint, making you eligible for a discounted sales fee. Indeed. Under MSRB rules, which of the following is strictly prohibited? Giving nominal quotes, do it every day, not a problem. Giving gifts more than $100, yep, out of the maximum gift or gratuity. Changing the firm's written supervisory procedures, no, we do that all the time. Making a contribution, well, there's limitations and restrictions on that, but we can do it. It's B. $118, a financial analyst of a member firm delivers a preliminary research report on a company to his supervisor. The supervisor approves the report, but then the analyst receives news that causes him to revise downward the earnings estimate of the company. The analyst resubmits the report to the supervisor with a new earnings estimate. The analyst shortly thereafter learns that the supervisor intends to release the initial version of the report with the first earnings estimate without reasonable and adequate basis. In response to this, the analyst could B, ask the supervisor to remove the analyst's name from the report. An appropriately appointed and qualified principal is required to review and approve or decline a customer's application for a deferred variable annuity before sending the application to the insurance company. This must occur no later than how many days after the Office of Supervisory Jurisdiction receives a complete and correct application. That would be 7 business days. For how long must copies of confirmations on all customer purchases and sales be maintained? The vast majority of brokerage firm records, including this, are 3 years. $121, a registered rep in the branch learns of a customer's death. You should, very testable, cancel all open orders and mark the account as deceased. That is very testable. A customer in low tax bracket is retired, living on a fixed income. The agent constructs a portfolio consisting of high yield bonds, small cap stocks. If this came to the attention of FINRA examiners, they would probably, FINRA is organized in districts, and mine was District 1. And so my District 1 guy was Lenny. So I always think of him when they say, came to the attention of the FINRA examiner. Take action against the agent for selling unsuitable recommendations. Indeed. Now usually what they do is they refer it to the Department of Enforcement. A representative asks her branch manager for advice. I'd like to offer my customers private shares of my father's new company. Ooh, would that be acceptable? As a branch office manager, your best response would be, Bill's going to be upset when I tell him how often he falls prey to too long to be wrong, right? You must provide written notice to our firm, give a detailed description of your proposed transaction, including whether you'll be paid, and then wait for approval. So the answer is C. That is very testable. Which of the following must appear on a confirmation of a transaction involving a municipal revenue bond? A notation of the revenue bond with the primary revenue source identified. So what we need to know, remember, because if the user fees are insufficient, the bonds will default. So, whether it's, an airport or whatever the case it may be. Mel makes a $300 political contribution to the mayor of his present hometown of Statesboro. So I think the 300 right out of the gate is a problem, right? Because it's 250 just before graduating from college. Mel is eligible to vote, so that's good. 1 year later, Mel is appointed a municipal financial professional for Franklin March, a municipal dealer. Can Franklin March act as a book running manager for Statesboro in a new municipal bond underwriting? The answer is no, right? Because there's a 2-year prohibition and he still has some left on that, right? So it says, yes, provided he does not participate in the deal, no. Yes, provided that the town returns the 300, no. No, Franklin March must wait 2 years. No, he's already, I think, a year into that, right? So he must wait the 1 year balance of it. So it's D. Uh, 126, a member firm has contracted with third parties to broadly communicate in a national ad campaign. That sounds like my Franklin example I gave you, right? The value of the firm's products and services. A designated principal would be obligated to make certain that each of the following facts is disclosed, except that the testimonial is no guarantee of future performance or success. That needs to be disclosed. If $100 in value is paid for the testimonial, the fact that it's a paid testimonial, no. Testimonial may not be representative of other customers, yes. Testimonial concerns technical aspects. The person making must have the knowledge, yeah. So we're claiming this is somebody who's like a PhD or something. I don't particularly care for the answer set, but given the answer set, B is our best answer. If a registered rep wishes to form a limited partnership to market a new line of oil additives and intends to sell partnership units to friends and clients, ooh, boy, we don't do this right, it's going to be called selling away. So Don't want to be get in trouble for selling away. 1, the representative must provide written notice to the employing member. Yes. The representative must receive written permission from the employing member. Yes. The representative must comply with the applicable rules and regs of 33. Yes. The rest must comply with the state registration requirements, blue sky laws. Yes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If two brothers wish to open a joint account at a member firm, which of the following documents must be endorsed by a principal before activity in the account can occur? Well, there's no circumstance in which we're not going to need a new account form. We're not going to need a margin account unless they're opening margin. We don't need a margin agreement, and power of attorney isn't necessary unless there's a third party. Yeah, the joint account agreement, 1 and 4. A customer walks into your office in Memphis, Tennessee, and wants to open a 529 account for his 12-year-old son who wants to attend Notre Dame. Accordingly, the customer wants to start a plan sponsored by the state of Indiana. You should open the plan, not open the plan, explain the potential. There we go. I like this. So explain potential federal tax benefits to residents of Tennessee. No, federal tax brackets. No, the state benefits. So it's D, the state benefits of perhaps doing it with Tennessee where he resides. There might be some, tax advantages for that. D is in dog. I think this is one I'm going to have to bring up with my friend Bill. 130, Cody Despain purchased 10 corporate A bonds at a premium just as the economy peaked. He anticipated rising interest rates and is hoping to protect himself from a loss. Now, what I don't like is I do like the idea we're going to put, but I don't know of any bonds that have puts trading on them. But yeah, that's how you would hedge typically is by buying a put. Voting let's see if I could do process of elimination. Purchasing voting common stock, no, that I could toss that out. Purchasing a call, no, call would be going up. Offering to sell bonds, no, kind of funky that Bill would even put this in the 10Q bank instead of the 9Q bank. Oh, well, The Manning rule. Mr. Manning is a guy who filed a class action lawsuit against the securities industry for taking advantage of limit orders. And so these are called limit order protection rules. The answer is A. I have a whole, lecture on the channel about limit order protection. I'm not sure it's in the 10 playlist. I'll check after I get this done. And if it's not, maybe I'll toss it over there. In a proxy contest, a member firm holding securities in street name who are beneficial owners must very testable to know that we cannot charge customers to forward their proxy material to them. We can charge the issuer. So, we can, charge the issuer for forwarding proxy material, right? So we are going to send the proxy material at the company's expense, which is B. The following statements concerning a 1035 exchange are true except. Okay, true except. So one of these things is false. You can exchange an annuity for life insurance. So C is false. You can't use the provision to exchange the annuities for life insurance. You could go from, like things. 134, all research reports issued by member firms must disclose control relationship. Yes. Again, if Merrill Lynch puts out a research report on Bank of America, true. 2, price of the time, the original recommendation, that's true. 3, whether we own 1% or more in the security, that too is true. And the name of the member firm providing the recommendation, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 135, the spouse of an officer of a clearing municipal securities broker dealer is an attorney specializing in corporate finance. The person applies to open an account with another member firm with a stated objective of investing in municipal securities. The new broker dealer knows of the relationship. Which of the following statements is true? A lot of gobbledygook here, but right, the new broker dealer must give written notice to the employing member firm. I mean, a lot of verbiage, but that's really the rule. It doesn't matter what it really kind of says here, right? So, boom, B. A municipal dealer receives a written complaint from a customer. Which statement is true concerning this? Copies of written complaint must retain 3. No, on MSRB, complaints are 6. 2 principals are required to approve the file. No. A principal must personally handle the complaint. Now, you can delegate its handling, but you're going to be responsible for it, right? So, it must be handled by or supervised by a principal. For the most part, the MSRB and FINRA rules are the same, but my customer complaints on FINRA are 4 and MSRB 6, but for the most part, they are the same. Broker dealers that have payment for order flow arrangement with market makers must disclose this arrangement in which of the following reports at 606, right? And, we have to disclose on our website what our order handling practices is, and that preference market maker always has to honor the inside market, the highest bid and the lowest asks to our customers. When acting in an agency capacity in a municipal transaction, all the following would be relevant in determining a fair price, except the market value of the transaction really has nothing to do with it. Those other things do, right? The value of my services rendered, the execution expense, whether it was thinly traded. Variable annuity bears all the following risks except the mortality risk, right? The whole point is the separate account is a mutual fund and the insurance wrapper, right? The insurance company is going to charge you that for that, certainly. Uh, 140, a customer market on open order to purchase 900 shares of ABCD was affected by an order entry firm, which bought the shares from a market maker at 91.50. And simultaneously sold to the customer 91.60 net, which included a 10-cent markup. The trade is reported to the trade reporting facility as, well, remember the trade reporting facility excludes commissions, markups, and markdowns. So it's going to be 900 shares at 91.50. Which of these actions by a sales representative is not prohibited? Borrowing money from a bank that is the agent's customer, that's a bona fide loan. So if I go through the normal process that everybody else goes through, that would not be prohibited. Let's see what our other choices are. Selling speculative issues to a retired couple means, yep, that sounds prohibited. Failing to follow customer's order, definitely prohibited. Backdating confirmations, definitely prohibited. So A. A 62-year-old customer purchases a non-qualified variable annuity. So non-qualified means after tax. Withdraw some of her funds before the contract is annuitized. What of the consequences of this action? Well, it's no big deal here. I mean, she's, not doing this before she's 59 and a half. So everything coming out of a retirement plan, it hasn't already had taxes paid on it, is going to be taxed at ordinary income. C. The fee charged by some mutual fund companies that are redeemed within a specified time after the purchase is known as a contingent deferred sales charge. As a rep or supervisor of reps, you want to make sure your reps aren't misusing no-load terminology. That's typically going to be the B share. I would accept a B share question, a supervisory question about that. The SIPC logo must appear on the advertisements, right? SIPC covers our customers if we're, shut down for violations of fiscal responsibility. It covers our customers every different account with separate beneficial ownership for 500,000, of which no more than 250 can be cash. In opening account for an unregistered employee of another municipal firm, the member firm must do which of the following? This is testable. We notify the employing firm that their employee is trying to open an account here. We send duplicate confirms to the statement. No, it's duplicate statements. No, it's duplicate confirms. So it's 1 and 3, 1 and 3. 146, we're almost there. Branch office manager received an email from a customer describing what appears to be unauthorized authorized trading and conversion of funds. The branch office manager begins an inquiry, but the registered rep is the target, abruptly resigns. The firm notified FINRA of the complaint and launches an investigation requesting information from the former rep. This is called jurisdictional retention. And FINRA retains jurisdictional retention for 2 years following the resignation. So B. A firm executes an order to buy by selling 500 shares at 2157 to a consolidated quotation system market maker. At the time of the order entry, 1,000 shares were being bid on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange floor at 2160. So if this is a New York Stock Exchange stock being traded away, this is a third market trade. A third market trade. This is an example of interpositioning. No, I don't see a third party in the trade. A trade through. Well, yeah, it looks like here we sold it at 2157 and the highest bid was 2160. So when we trade through the inside quote, that's what that's called. A trade lower than the highest bid or higher than the lowest ask. So that is true. A violative practice under the Regulation National Market System, NMS, yes. So unless we have a good reason for a trade through, in the over-the-counter market be size, but here we should not have done it. So 2 and 3, general accepted trading practice, no. Misuse of professional designations is a big no-no. And RIA is not a professional designation. Those others are. Now, again, you can't use them unless you have them, but B is not a professional designation. You could spell out under your firm's name, registered investment advisor. An agent lives in Montana, is registered in Montana and Idaho. His broker-dealer is registered every state west of the Mississippi. The agent's client who lives in Montana, no problem, I'm registered in Montana. 1-year resident MBA program in Philadelphia during 1 year. When the client is in Philadelphia, we can still do business with him as usual because he's not a resident of Pennsylvania, right? He's a resident still of our state. So, he has our state's protection, so to speak. A member firm is exempt from penny stock disclosure rules if its revenue from penny stock transactions is 5% or less of its total revenue. All right, well, let's see how I did on the exam. No surprise, I teach the Series 10 for Kaplan. I'm familiar with the Kaplan Q-Bank. So it looks like I got all these correct. I hope you found that helpful. If so, let me know and I'll do it at some future date. Probably not for a while. That's a real slog, getting through these. I posted, there's a 24 practice exam as well posted, and it's a lot of overlap. So if you're looking for another opportunity, you can do that one as well. Remember, inch by inch, your Series 10 is a cents, yard by yard. Your Series 10 is hard. Again, shout out to Kaplan. If you want to get a Kaplan Q-Bank, I will, or any Kaplan products and services, I'll put my Guru 10 discount code there and a link for you to do so. All the questions have QID numbers, so feel free to send me a QID if you'd like me to expand upon it, or a question from any test prep vendor, and I'm more than happy to try and help you out as you try and get this Series 10 done. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.